So in the previous video, we covered hiring from a hiring manager's perspective and what things they look for. And it might be a little bit eye-opening for you as the job seeker. So we're going to pick up where we left off. And this time we're going to cover recruiting from the recruiter's perspective. If you missed part one, make sure you go back and watch that one first. So the context of this next video is that this woman is an unemployed job seeker who is a part of a job seeking group. I think it's through Slack. And somebody else in this group is a recruiter slash HR person who is also unemployed and looking for a job. And she was sharing her tips and her workflow when she was an actual recruiter. So I thought that this was interesting and something that we should walk through as well.
So this woman, who is a former HR professional slash recruiter, she said that when she was working, Monday morning she'd post the job, and she would just let applications come in all day, pretty much through Tuesday morning, and she'd see how many people applied. Tuesday was the day that she would go through all the applications. And she's like, that was the day. And she told us she didn't use ATS. There were certain questions that would knock out a candidate. So if there was a specific thing they were looking for and you didn't have it, you were turned away. Like if it was, something with a specific role, education, whatever credential qualification. So those people get knocked out. But she would personally go through all the resumes.
So I want to point out something really quickly here. She says that she goes through the resumes personally. This means that the recruiter's actually looking at resumes and making decisions, not some AI system that's integrated into the applicant tracking. The recruiter is actually going through these, and this is consistent with how I recruited as well. We would go through and manually look at application after application after application. That being said, there are some kickoff questions that will often be programmed by the recruiter into the front end of the applicant tracking system, so the application. And these are typically going to be pretty high level. So it's like, are you legally able to work in the country without sponsorship? Are you able to, or do you meet the minimum requirements for the job, the education requirements, or if there's a specific certification that's absolutely required for the job, then those may be some kickout questions, but they're often pretty rare. They don't kick out that many people, just kind of overseas people who might be completely unqualified or not even eligible to work for that particular employer. But the recruiter is actually going through and manually looking at resumes.
So that was Tuesday. She said Wednesday and Thursday, she's making phone calls to the qualified candidates to set up interviews for the following week. And then Friday, if she didn't feel like she got qualified candidates or if not enough people applied, she would repost the job. So she said the way she approaches her search now on the other side is Monday, she power applies to jobs. She's applying to every job, she's applying to things through Tuesday morning. Knowing and understanding that on the other side of the table, Tuesday is the day people are probably reviewing the applications. And then she said on Wednesday and Thursday, she doesn't apply for jobs because she's like, that's the day that they're making the calls for the following week. So they're not looking at anything. They're just looking at the people that have already applied. So sure, you can apply on those days, but it might not go anywhere. You might as well wait till next Monday or Friday when they repost the job. If they repost the job, it's because they haven't gotten any qualified candidates, and they're hoping that if they repost the job on Friday, they'll get the people on Saturday and Sunday that maybe already are employed and are looking, but they don't have the time to do it during the week. This was genius. So she essentially said Monday, she power applies through Tuesday morning. Tuesday, she kind of slows down. Wednesday, Thursday, she gets to take a break from that and does other things. That's when, she gets some other stuff done. Maybe she works on things. Maybe she has a side hustle, whatever. And then Friday is when she reviews any repost. She also shared that she knows that Indeed pushes jobs to the top that are reposted on Mondays. I have not heard such tangible advice in the 3 layoffs.
Okay, so let's break this down a little bit further. There is some truth to what she says about how recruiters use the cadence of posting. There is a day that they post the job. For me, it was never necessarily Monday. It was just whenever I got assigned the position. So if I got assigned a position on a Wednesday, I'm not going to wait till the following Monday to post it to get into this cadence. So I think that this is maybe just her particular workflow, but this is not consistent with all recruiting. The cadence of actually collecting applications, though, probably is pretty common. I would say when we would post the job. So I would have, usually in my applicant tracking system, it would be tied to LinkedIn and some other job boards. I would post it on, just say I got the job assigned to me Monday morning. I'm going to use her time frame. I would post it on Monday morning. It would automatically get pushed out to LinkedIn, to Indeed, maybe a dozen other sites. Then while I'm waiting for the application to collect people, because it, takes some time, I'm going to let the application collect people over the probably, the next day or so. And at the same time, though, I'm not just waiting around for that to happen. I'm going to go off and actually start sourcing my own candidates. So I'm going to head over to LinkedIn and some other places, and I'm actually going to find my own candidates that meet the job requirements. Those are higher, to me, like higher quality applicant or higher quality candidates, because I'm putting in the keywords that I need to see for those candidates. So I'm finding the right fits versus hoping that somebody comes inbound to my application and is the right fit. Then on Tuesday, again using her time frame, on Tuesday, then I would start to look through, like when I log in on Tuesday morning, I would log in to see who came in over the previous day, and then I would start clearing my applicants. So I'd start moving and assigning statuses and buckets, potentially rejecting people who were not meeting qualifications. Then, kind of the process repeats. But my goal is to try to get an initial slate of candidates, let's just say 5 people, over to the hiring manager that meet the qualifications for the role so that they can begin the interviewing process. And as they're working through those interviews, I'm going to then go off to other jobs that I'm assigned. Because again, I might have 15 to 20 other positions that I've got assigned. So I've got to do the same thing for each one of them. I can't spend all of my time on this one particular job. Otherwise, I won't get any of my other jobs filled, and I won't probably have a job myself for very long. So I'm going to go off and do my own recruiting on these other roles. And then if the hiring manager comes back and says, we didn't see the right fit of slate of candidates, can we get some more into the pipeline? So then I might go back and revisit that posting on the next day. There is a case where you can apply for a position that's maybe 3 or 4 days old, or maybe even a week old, maybe even 2 weeks old, where I haven't refreshed the job postings. I'm not always refreshing my job postings because there's a cost there, but I'm not refreshing my job posting until I absolutely need to. But maybe my slate of candidates has gone through the process. They're interviewing for over a period of a week or two while I'm off doing other stuff. And then the hiring manager comes back and says, we actually need to see a few more candidates. Some of these didn't work out. Then I might go back to the job posting and then see who came in the meantime. So the candidates who maybe came in from the time I submitted my initial slate of candidates until I had to go back and revisit the job posting may have been put into like kind of limbo status. And I'll also say that in most cases, most companies I've worked for, there is a requirement to close out candidates. So I may put you into a maybe bucket during that period of time and then still close out the people who are just not a fit, because I have to go in each day and like clear out the ATS, or they clear out the applicant pool. If I need to repost that job, then I will probably do it whenever I need to. I don't necessarily time it up for Friday, but maybe if it just so happens to time out on a Friday. I mean, to her point, like, could you get people who are, over the weekend are applying? Yeah, I guess you could, but I don't think recruiters are too worried about that. I'm really more worried about just getting the application out. Like an application going out on a job posting going out on a Wednesday is still going to capture somebody who is employed working over the weekend. So I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but and her reason behind it, but I guess I can see some value in it. But you can't time it out because each recruiter has a different workflow. So my positions may get posted on Wednesday, and then I may wait 2 weeks or 3 weeks, maybe even a month before I repost it if I feel like I need to. Because again, I'm doing all my own recruiting on LinkedIn as well. And I'm looking for my own candidates, and I can't wait around hoping that somebody comes into the applicant tracking system. But I think that this is just a good representation of what recruiters and what hiring managers look for and how their experiences on their end. And I know it's easy to get frustrated because you don't see their end and you start to create stories, you start to assume things. It's not a discount that there aren't some bad recruiters and bad hiring managers out there, because there certainly are, and some do give us a bad name. But in general, the goal for the recruiter is to try to find candidates for the hiring manager as quickly as they can, and they've got a bunch of different jobs that they're working through at the same time. So it's critical to have career strategy here. Applying, setting up those alerts. If I'm a job seeker, I'm absolutely setting up alerts and making sure that I'm an early applicant so that I get into that initial slate. And if I see reposts, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to apply to alerts, but I'm not necessarily going to wait around for a repost. If I see a job that's aged by 3 or 4 weeks, it doesn't necessarily mean that I won't get called for that job, because I may find after a month of going through a process, some candidate rejects our offer at the very last minute. Like, we've been with them for a month and they reject our offer and take some other offer. Now we're back to square one again, and we have to go back and re-recruit. So I'm going to start looking at candidates who came in the meantime. And most of the time, I'm actually going to start at the newest candidates and work my way backward because they're considered to be quote unquote fresh. So Just wanted to give you that little insight into recruiting, and hopefully that will help you with your job search. So that's what the employer is seeing from their end. And yes, can it be maddening? Sure, especially when you're in an emotional job search. You have to keep in mind it's emotional for you, the employee, but for the company, it's just another day in the office. It's a business decision. So this means that I'm spending more of my time applying for jobs that are a good fit for my background rather than those one-off or long shots. And I'm probably not spending a whole lot of time spraying and praying because it just really ends up in the dumpster anyway. Secondly, I'm making sure that my marketing, my wrapper, my bottle, my packaging looks as attractive as possible. So when that person walks into the convenience store to pick out the bottle, they know exactly which one they're going to. Their eye gravitates towards a certain one. And that's where resume strategy comes in. Writing resumes that are very attractive and show your fit very clearly and concisely. Then once I get into the interview process, I want to make sure that I've got interview strategy. I'm not just walking in and winging it because that's the recipe for disaster. It's hard enough to get these job interviews. So once you get them, you don't want to go in unprepared. And every single thing I say and do in an interview has very specific, purposeful strategy. You want to make sure that you know what you're doing. And most people who think they know what they're doing have no clue what they're doing. Then, of course, you want to improve your chances at getting the phone to ring through some targeted networking and the use of LinkedIn, the platform itself. You can potentially even skip those recruiters. I've actually created some resources to help you navigate through this from more of a deep perspective, from a recruiter approved approach. Resume writing through Resume Rocketfuel, job search through the Ultimate Job Seeker Bootcamp, and that includes the interviewing and job offers. And I also cover LinkedIn, both in-person and online networking, and how to potentially attract and even skip those recruiters altogether through the course Unlocking LinkedIn. And then overall career strategy, which is the foundation of everything that we do in our career, and that's through the Ultimate Career Blueprint. So if you need any more deep help on these things, check those out. I also offer some limited private one-on-one coaching. You can reach me through my website for that. Anyway, hopefully you found this video to be helpful and enlightening. I know it can be frustrating and maddening here, but let's use strategy. That's your best bet in a tight job market. As always, appreciate you watching. We'll see you in the next one.